Stop what you're doing right now because this storm just took a historic turn. And what is setting up over the next 72 hours is unlike anything we have seen so far this season. We are talking about a severe weather outbreak capable of producing intense tornadoes and widespread destructive winds hitting the Midwest and Ohio Valley tonight and tomorrow. And then Monday delivers what could be the most dangerous severe weather day the East Coast has seen in 5 to 10 years. And simultaneously, running at the exact same time as all of that, a historic blizzard is burying the northern United States under 2 to 4 feet of snow, with winds screaming over 60 miles per hour. Two completely separate, catastrophic weather events happening at the exact same time across the same country, affecting entirely different regions with entirely different hazards. It is Tuesday, May 19th, 2026, and this is the forecast you need to hear right now. Let me start with the severe weather because the timeline is urgent. Tomorrow we have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather, stretching from Indianapolis all the way back toward Monroe and Shreveport. If you are in Memphis, Nashville, Paducah, or anywhere in that corridor, you are sitting inside this enhanced risk zone and you need to have your plan locked in before tonight. The slight risk extends from central Michigan all the way down to the Gulf Coast. The marginal threat covers over 10 million people, including areas near Chicago and southern Wisconsin. This is an enormous geographic footprint for a major, severe weather outbreak, and the primary concern tomorrow is not going to be what most people are expecting. The main threat tomorrow is widespread destructive winds and a significant QLCS tornado outbreak. Let me explain what QLCS means because it changes how you need to think about your preparation. A QLCS is a quasi-linear convective system, which is basically a large organized squall line that produces embedded tornadoes within it rather than from isolated rotating supercells. These tornadoes are different from classic supercell tornadoes. They can spin up very quickly, sometimes with only a minute or two of warning, and they can happen anywhere along a line that is hundreds of miles long simultaneously. That is why QLCS events are so dangerous. You cannot point to one specific spot on the map and say that is where the tornado is going to be. It could be anywhere along that entire line. And tomorrow we are expecting this squall line to stretch from central Michigan all the way back into East Texas by the late afternoon and evening hours. The hatched significant wind area covers Memphis, Clarksville, Paducah, Mayfield, and Evansville, where wind gusts exceeding 75 miles per hour are possible from embedded bowing segments in the line. Damaging winds at that magnitude do not just knock down branches. They take down trees, they destroy fences, they flip vehicles, and they cause widespread power outages across entire regions simultaneously. If you have a trampoline, outdoor furniture, or anything that can become a projectile in 75 mile per hour winds, get it secured or bring it inside before tomorrow afternoon. The hail threat is secondary tomorrow, but still real. Tennis ball-sized hail is possible near the Gulf Coast and lower Mississippi Valley in the initial discrete storms that fire ahead of the main line. Protect your vehicle if you are in the hatched hail area. Now, let us talk about the tornado threat for tomorrow specifically, because I think this could be the biggest tornado event of the year so far. We already had a major QLCS outbreak in the Deep South several weeks ago that produced around 25 to 30 tornadoes. Tomorrow's setup has the potential to match or exceed that. I'm not saying we're definitely going to see that many, but the environment supports it, and the hatched significant tornado area confirms that EF2 tornadoes are a real possibility embedded in this line. The 10 to 15% probability of significant tornadoes within a 25-mile radius is not a number the Storm Prediction Center draws lightly. Have multiple ways to receive warnings tomorrow. A lock screen notification at midnight is not going to be enough for an event that peaks during the nocturnal hours. You need a weather radio, you need wireless emergency alerts fully enabled, and you need to know exactly where you're going in your home the moment a warning sounds. Here's the timing breakdown for tomorrow, so you know precisely when to be alert. Severe weather is not expected to be significant through the late morning hours, around 1 to 2 p.m. Central Time, isolated strong to severe storms, begin trying to organize across central Missouri back into southern Wisconsin, but nothing widespread yet. Then, around 2 to 3 p.m., this line of thunderstorms begins to rapidly organize from Fort Smith back toward western Illinois, just west of St. Louis. That is your signal that the event is starting. By 4 to 5 p.m., the line intensifies dramatically with significant damaging winds of 60 to 80 miles per hour and embedded tornadoes possible by 5 p.m. By 6 to 7 p.m., the line is running at full intensity from southern Illinois back into East Texas. And this is the peak window for both the wind and tornado threat in the Mississippi River Valley. These storms push through Chicago right around 7 p.m. By 8 to 9 p.m., they are approaching western Michigan and moving through the heart of Memphis toward Clarksville, Tennessee, and western Kentucky. The peak intensity of this line runs from roughly 8 to 10 p.m. And here is what I need you to understand about that timing. 8 to 10 at night means most people are winding down, watching television, putting kids to bed. This is the most dangerous tornado timing in American meteorology because people are not actively monitoring the sky. After 10 p.m., this line continues, pushing toward Chattanooga, Huntsville, and Detroit, arriving near Cincinnati and Columbus right around midnight to 1 a.m. Wednesday. Do not go to bed without your weather radio on tomorrow night if you live anywhere from Alabama through Ohio. Now, Monday is where this forecast gets truly historic for the East Coast, and I want to spend real time on this because the people in this corridor need to understand what is building. The enhanced risk on Monday stretches from Pennsylvania back into South Carolina, and the Storm Prediction Center has specifically noted that a moderate risk upgrade is possible. If that moderate risk gets issued, it would be primarily for the wind threat, which is the headline hazard on Monday. The pink area, showing a 45% probability of damaging winds within a 25-mile radius, covers Virginia, the Carolinas, Maryland, and the Washington, D.C. metro area. A 45% wind probability is an extraordinarily high number. It means there is nearly a coin flip chance of significant damaging winds within 25 miles of any point in that zone. This is one of the most favorable severe weather environments for the East Coast in 5 to 10 years, and it needs to be taken with complete seriousness. Have your flashlights ready. Have your generator fueled if you have one. Power outages across the East Coast on Monday afternoon and evening are not a possibility. They are a near certainty across a large portion of this corridor. The tornado threat on Monday is also elevated in a way that the East Coast simply does not see very often. By late morning and early afternoon, semi-discrete storms develop right along the cold frontal boundary, and a couple of discrete cells are possible in Florida with a higher tornado risk if those storms can get established. By 3 to 4 p.m., the scattered damaging winds become widespread, and embedded tornadoes are possible all up and down the line through Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. The really dangerous window for discrete supercell tornadoes on Monday is the late morning and early afternoon before the line fully organizes. There's a possibility of strong to intense tornadoes near Cape Hatteras and eastern North Carolina during this window. The tornado threat stays elevated all the way through 7 to 8 p.m. when most storms finally push offshore. There is one fail mode I want to be honest about for Monday. If the cold front moves too fast, the discrete supercell potential drops and the overall severe weather threat is somewhat lower. But even in that scenario, widespread destructive winds and several tornadoes are still expected. The fast-moving cold front fail mode does not save the East Coast from a significant severe weather day on Monday. It just lowers the ceiling slightly. Now, let me shift to the blizzard because it is happening simultaneously with everything I just described, and it is historic. Blizzard warnings are in effect across Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and back into South Dakota. This is one of the most comprehensive blizzard warning areas we have seen. Snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour are going to be on the table near Green Bay and Minneapolis overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. A very narrow band of freezing rain extends from south Dakota through northern Nebraska as far east as northeast Ohio, where the rain and snow line sets up. In terms of total snowfall accumulation, the numbers being forecast by the National Weather Service are staggering. Across the upper peninsula of Michigan and northern Wisconsin, we are talking about a widespread 2 to 3 feet of snow, with the real possibility of approaching 4 feet near Marquette over roughly 48 hours. With the majority falling in only 24, Minneapolis is looking at 12 to 18 inches. A widespread foot of snow is expected from South Dakota back into northern Michigan. Chicago is looking at 1 to 3 inches, and Des Moines is also in the 1 to 3 inch range. Light snow is possible as far south as Nashville, Huntsville, and even potentially Birmingham Monday morning. There will be no significant accumulation that far south, but the fact that snow is falling in Alabama while blizzard warnings are posted in Wisconsin, while a tornado outbreak is happening in between all three of those things, is genuinely one of the most extraordinary weather situations I have described in a long time. Wind advisories stretch all the way from New York back into Texas, with red flag fire weather warnings across the southern plains simultaneously. Almost everyone in the country is under some form of weather watch, warning, or advisory right now. That does not happen often, and it is a visual representation of just how wide-ranging and powerful this storm system truly is. The Arctic blast following all of this is going to drive temperatures below freezing as far south as Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi on Monday and Tuesday morning. Freeze warnings are already being issued across parts of Mississippi right now. If you have sensitive vegetation in the ground across the southeast and lower Ohio Valley, this is your window to protect it before the cold arrives. The temperature swing the system produces from one side to the other is genuinely staggering. Communities that recorded temperatures in the upper 80s just 2 days ago are going to be watching freeze warnings on their phones Tuesday morning. It is going to feel like late winter descended overnight across a large portion of the country, and the contrast between the warm sector ahead of the front and the cold air behind it is part of what is making this severe weather setup so explosive in the first place. But here is the flip side, and I want to end on this because it is worth noting. Once we get into Wednesday and Thursday, record-breaking warmth makes a return across the Great Plains and the desert Southwest. Record-high temperatures are going to be on the table all week across those regions. So if you are in the Central Plains and you survive Monday's blizzard and Tuesday's Arctic blast, an extraordinary warmth rebound is coming fast. The East Coast is going to be on a complete roller coaster for the next 7 days as this pattern bounces between extremes. Stay subscribed, stay weather aware, and make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings before tonight. This storm just took a historic turn, and the next 72 hours across this country are going to be unlike almost anything we have seen this season. Severe weather outbreak tonight and tomorrow across the Midwest and Mississippi Valley. The most dangerous East Coast severe weather day in nearly a decade on Monday. A historic blizzard burying the northern tier under 2 to 4 feet of snow simultaneously. An Arctic blast driving freeze warnings into the deep south behind it all. And then record heat returning to the plains and southwest by midweek. One storm system, every hazard category, 72 hours. I will see you in the live stream and in the next update. Stay safe out there.